Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our closing plenary for the 2026 Emerging Researchers National Conference in STEM. It's okay, you can say, oh, I know. It's gone by so fast, hasn't it? It has for me, but I've been getting my steps in, running around after all of your incredible genius. I hope that the past couple of days has been extremely rewarding for you. And I would say that over the past 2 days, 2.5 days, I think that you've done something remarkable. You've shared your research, you've tested ideas, you've built new connections. I know Irene would be so proud of you for forcing yourself to sit at tables with people you didn't know. I'm really proud of you too. But in doing so, you've demonstrated exactly what we talked about at the start of this conference. You have demonstrated really that science isn't just about discovery, but it's also about community, communication, and impact. On Thursday, we talked about the moment that we are in, a moment where the world is looking to science for answers, but also a moment where science must be understood, trusted, and connected to people's everyday lives. And what I've seen in this room and downstairs with the posters and across the breakouts over the past few days gives me a tremendous amount of confidence, because you're not just researchers, you're thoughtful communicators, emerging leaders, and ambassadors for science in your communities. And those additional characteristics matter now even more than ever. So to the students in this room, you have shown us the future of STEM and what the future of STEM looks like and will be. And my hope is that you will leave here with two things. One, a deeper confidence in your potential. And two, a clearer sense that you're not in this work alone. You are a part of a community that believes in you and is invested in your success. Now, I want to take a moment to pause from our traditional agenda for the evening, and I just want to take a moment to recognize somebody whose impact here in ERN and across the scientific enterprise has been really incredible, especially in this community. How many of you know or have gotten the chance to work with Lorene Summers? This year, Lorene hits her 35 years of service at AAAS. That, my friend, is a legacy. Lorene has been a tireless champion for students with disabilities. And long before inclusion was widely prioritized in our field, she saw talent where others saw barriers. And she made sure that those barriers did not define what was possible. Through programs like Entry Point and the EARN Students and Professionals with Disabilities Working Group, she has opened doors for hundreds of students and helped shape pathways that continue to expand opportunity in science. Lorene, your impact is lasting. Your work has changed lives and strengthened this entire community, this entire STEM ecosystem. Please join me in thanking Lorene and wishing her all the best as she approaches a new phase in life. If you're unfamiliar with Entry Point, it's an incredible summer paid internship program that specifically finds paid summer internships for students in undergraduate and graduate programs for scientists with disabilities. Those internships oftentimes go on to lead to offers in industry for a group of incredible scientists that are all too often overlooked. So again, thank you, Lorene. I also want to give a little bit more appreciation. You know, conferences like this don't happen by accident, as I'm sure you can imagine. It happens because of people who care deeply about this work. To our partners at the National Science Foundation, thank you for your continued investments in emerging researchers. This is what public investment in science looks like at its best. To my colleagues across AAAS who have helped to make this conference come to life, from our human resources team, Dewey and Melissa here, from membership with Victor and Lily, and from our programs division with Marty, Hannah, Cynthia, and Katie, and especially to my CSEW team, Claire, Pam, Naya, Laureen, Junice, Erica, and Suzanne. Your dedication, creativity, and care are evident in every detail of this conference. Thank you so much for your planning and your work. I also want to thank our many, many volunteers and judges, the hotel staff, the AV teams, all of the people who are working behind the scenes to make a conference like this happen and to really take care of us so that we can focus on posters and creative ideas and science that, quite frankly, I oftentimes nod my head politely and say, oh, that's so interesting, when I'm really thinking, I don't know what those 5 words were. Because again, I'm a social scientist, and it's really cool though. I'm really excited to learn. So thank you so much to all of you who have been taking care of us so that we can focus on these incredible students and scholars. I also have 2 reminders that I want to quickly put up for you. One, these incredible photos that you've been seeing as you come into the plenaries that have featured you all presenting and talking and networking and doing all that fun stuff. Those photos will be available to you all in the Whova app. Our photographer here, Mike, will have them within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Give him a little bit of time. But those will be there for you. And of course, those of you that have taken advantage of the professional headshots, you'll have access to those as well, especially as you're thinking about internships and job applications and graduate school and all that sort of stuff. So all of that will be available for you. And then finally, I want to make sure that you all do something really quickly for me. Please take out your phones. I know normally I'm saying the opposite. Put your phone away. Please take out your phone for a moment. Go to your calendar app, and I want you to put a save the date for next year's ERN. We will be right here at this hotel, March 3rd through the 5th for next year. Please mark your calendar. Start thinking about what abstracts you might want to be putting in. Think about what summer research you might want to be doing to present next year. All of that fun stuff. So I just want to make sure that you have the date in hand for next year's ERN conference. Cool? We got it? Yeah? Do you all have calendars in your phones? Or like, are you saying like, oh my God, he's such a boomer? No? Okay, hopefully that worked. All right, it's now my pleasure. You all heard me the first night mention, and Dr. Moore mentioned in his talk, our program officer, Dr. Carleitta Paige-Anderson. I'll remind you that she is the program director both for HBCU-UP and EIR programs, which is a massive amount of programming. That means she has a lot of money. You all should be her friend, okay? At the National Science Foundation. Dr. Paige-Anderson holds a PhD from Wake Forest University and completed postdoctoral fellowship at Johns Hopkins University before returning to Virginia Union University, where she established a research program and served in a range of leadership roles, including founding director of the Center for Undergraduate Research and Vice President for Student Development and Success. Her work is rooted in enhancing the research and education capacities of HBCUs and increasing opportunities across post-secondary education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Paige-Anderson.
Good evening, and thank you for that introduction, Travis. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Thank you to AAAS for all that you do to allow ERN to persist. Also, thank you to everyone in this room for showing up over the last 2.5 days as the best versions of yourself. From the beginning, I've been here with you, I've observed you, I've engaged with you, I have really been inspired by you. And so I want to thank you, all of you, for all of your work and ask if you can help me join yourselves in thanking you. I understand it's not easy sometimes, especially when it's your first time, to come into a space of others who are deeply committed to the work that they're doing, but also very much at the early stages of what they're doing, and you're still trying to reconcile who you are as a scientist, who you are as an individual, but how you fit into this massive picture of what it means to be a global citizen. I commend you for leaning into that, and I want you to know that we are all on the same journey. While the bios that we read and we reflect on, they kind of acknowledge moments in time, at the end of the day, we are all the same. We're in this together. And so I hope that I, along with you, we recognize each other as partners along this journey. I certainly want to acknowledge the partners that aren't here on behalf of the National Science Foundation. While the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Undergraduate program is the primary lead, if you will, in terms of engaging with AAAS and administering aspects of this award. The investments in this particular award come from all over the agency. These are millions of dollars for you, and you're deserving of it. And it gives me pleasure every opportunity that I can to come before you and remind you that you're worth it. You're worth it every single day, and I am thankful to work at an agency and with colleagues who recognize the value in what it is that you do on a regular basis. Over the past couple of days, I've been trying to figure out how exactly do I stand before you in a time such as this and leave with something that's inspiring. I've also listened in on some of these very, very difficult conversations that are happening, that are occurring, and I know that there are no answers. I know that times are difficult these days for a myriad of reasons, but you're here. And one of the poems, I'm not going to say the entire poem, but one of the poems that come to mind for me over this past couple of days, it's entitled State of Mind, but here are the aspects of it that I think will resonate. At least I hope you receive it for yourselves. And that is, if you think you're beaten, you've lost. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. And then it goes on to say, success doesn't come to the strongest or fastest man or woman. In fact, success comes to the person who thinks they can. It's a state of mind. And for me, that's what I'm telling myself every day, that the circumstances around us, it's really, really difficult, and frankly, it's out of our control. But we have a personal will, and we have a personal reflection in our state of mind that can inspire us and encourage us to continue to show up every day. And I'm excited to still be present with you today, but then to leave here and go on and continue to do the work that allows spaces such as this to allow you to continue to do what you can do. And so please, please, please maintain the state of mind that the circumstances, yeah, they're beyond our control, but we have a decision that we can make every day. And you've done that over this past couple of days. And I want to encourage you to do that for as long as you can, to show up every day with the state of mind that whatever it is that's happening, that you can control what you do and the time that you have, and to be the best version at that. And so I hope you receive that. And I just want to thank you again for being the best versions of you, that you've inspired me to maintain my state of mind, that even in this condition, that there's work to be done, there's investments to be made, because there's work that you're going to do that we need to support. Thank you. The other aspect to my role today is to introduce the next speaker. I saw it on the request in the email, but I've been working with the AAAS team for quite some time, and sometimes I'm asked to introduce those, and then they actually are fabulous, and then they introduce those individuals on their own. And so just today, I saw the run of show, and I said, oh, I think that's gonna be an ask of me, but I think they're gonna handle it, and it's gonna be just fine. But then I was reminded, no, today is the day that you're going to have to introduce the next speaker. And I don't think it's by happenstance that it's Women's History Month. I don't think it's by happenstance that when I need a little bit of inspiration, I may not call on you, but this woman is just that. She has a bio that I can't even begin to articulate, but I want you to know that Dr. Shirley Malcom is one of the best that we have to offer in this country. I've never sent an email to Dr. Malcom. I've never reached out. I've never thanked her for really everything that you've done. But my introduction today is a thank you. Thank you for being a beacon. Thank you for being an example. Thank you for being exactly what I need on days like today and times like now, to be able to continue to show up as the best version of me. Thank you, and to all of you, I present to you AAAS Senior Advisor, Dr. Shirley Malcom.
Thank you so much. You have to take time for a little love, okay? And I want to thank you for what you said, because it doesn't get said enough about the fact that showing up is a big part of what we all have to do. I will just tell you a couple of things that my bio will never tell you. I was born and raised 150 miles from here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm old enough that it was pure Jim Crow. And I had to essentially make the decision post-Sputnik that I would go into science, because there really was no other decision to make. But doing that meant that I was always the only one. I left home, went 2,500 miles away to Seattle, Washington, and the rest, they say, is history. So, it is my honor to introduce our speaker. I've known of Dr. Mackie, but I really hadn't had a chance to find out about the things that he has done. He is CEO and founder of STEM NOLA, STEM Global Action, and Channel Zero Group. An award-winning mentor, inventor, author, former engineering professor, disaster relief person, jack of all trades, renowned speaker, engineer, entrepreneur. He's kind of done it all. And a lot of it he had planned to do, and much of it he had not. He basically, life came at him, and he had to decide that he was going to respond by picking up the mantle and making a decision about what he would do. He's a dedicated advocate for STEM education. He works tirelessly for all of us and all of you. He has been working in the K-12 space with STEM NOLA and has engaged hundreds of thousands of mostly low-income, low-resource K-12 students in hands-on, project-based STEM activities across the country. He is graduate of Morehouse College. Is Morehouse in the house? Okay. That sounded kind of weak, Dr. Mackie. You're gonna have to work on the brothers. Okay. He earned a bachelor's degree in mathematics in 1990 and simultaneously did the dual degree program and received a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Georgia Tech. Is any Georgia Tech people in the house? Okay, all right. Where he subsequently earned master's and PhDs in mechanical engineering in 1996. He served on the engineering faculty at Tulane for 12 years and won the Presidential Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, Engineering Mentoring in a White House ceremony in 2003, and he currently serves on the STEM Advisory Council. He's won all kinds of recognitions and honors and done all kinds of speeches all over the place. But the thing that I think that really means the most to me is when I read that he had done an inspirational memoir, A View from the Roof, Lessons for Life and Business. And I can only imagine that roof was in New Orleans when Katrina hit. Gives you a totally different perspective, doesn't it? And that's really what he brings to us today, that different perspective. What does life look like when you're confronted by disasters? What does life look like when you have to pivot? What does life look like when you want to share what you have learned with those who will come behind us? Now, he's a devoted husband, devoted father. He probably tries to keep everybody straight. Probably fails at it sometimes, same way we all do, but he keeps trying. And I am thrilled to be able to introduce him. He's going to speak, and then we're going to have a conversation. And he told me that nothing was off limits. He doesn't know me. Okay, but thank you, and let's give a welcome to Dr. Calvin Mackie, but we will cue the video. Okay.
Our kids will have to have skills to create and to innovate, to participate in the 21st century. And that's why the exposure of STEM is so important. It can't start in middle school or high school or college. It gotta start at 4 and 5 years old so it becomes a part of their lexicon, becomes a part of their DNA. So one day my son came home, he was in the 3rd grade, and he said, Dad, I don't like science anymore. I'm like, boy, that can't be true. It's in your DNA, right? And he was like, no, Daddy, my teacher only speaks to the board and I like to do stuff with my hands. I said, well, son, we have to fix that. So we start going out into the garage and start doing all these hands-on activities. I start ordering all these different kits. Before you know it, my other son got involved. The kids down the street got involved. I said, did you tell him you do this in the garage with your dad? And he said, yeah, Dad, but my friends need this. But the problem there was that my son was going to a magnet school in the state of Louisiana, one of the top schools. And if his friends were not being exposed, what does that say about all the rest of the kids in other neighborhoods and other communities that are not as privileged as his? We planned for 100 kids to show up in a gym in New Orleans East, and we had over 350 kids, 150 parents, in a rain in December, and we realized we were on to something. So in New Orleans, in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, we had one of the greatest, most expansive ed reform movements, where ed reform, or the charter movement, took over all the schools. But in my experience, in terms of STEM education, the delivery of content and the execution is pretty much the same. A kid may get that by hook or crook, but it's definitely not intentional that that is a part of the curriculum for kids to get that and be prepared for the world before them. We live in a country right now that makes sure every Black and brown boy touches a football before the age of 4. And no one questions that. In the 21st century, our children will only have 3 options. Either they're going to take something, break something, and/or make something. And if we don't give them the skills and education and motivation to make something, that's only going to leave them with the 2 options that we see on the news every night. But just imagine if a kid can come from back of town or girt town of New Orleans and create the next billion-dollar unicorn company and transform the economy in her community for her people. I mean, that's a dream that I dream every day. And I want all of our kids to dream that. First, I'd like to say thank you to AAAS for having me. I'm humbled anytime anybody asks me to do that which I think I've been put on this earth to do. Second, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Shirley Malcom. Never in my life did I think I would be standing on a stage after being introduced by the amazing Shirley Malcom. Thank you for all that you have done from the bottom of my heart. My daddy taught me that there's 3 stages in life. He said the first stage is personhood. He said personhood is getting to a point, son, where you're able to take care of yourself. He said the next stage is womanhood or manhood. That is getting to a point where you can take care of you and those that you're responsible for. He said, son, the ultimate stage in life is chiefhood. That is getting to a point where you can not only take care of yourself, but you take care of those that you're responsible for, but you begin to take care of the entire community. Dr. Malcom, Shirley Malcom, thank you for becoming a chief and taking care of the whole community. I just thank God I got the opportunity to say that. Students, many a days I sat where you were sitting when people like that was up here, never even imagining
that one day it would be me. Now, before I get started, they're doing sign language, and I've actually killed a sign languager before. So I'm going to do my best to slow down. But we're going to get started. My name is Kelvin Mackie, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm from back of town, Girt Town, Zion City. I'm from the Lower 9 where we don't mind dying. I'm from that wild magnolia, I thought I told you. I'm from that CP3, you know me. So don't start acting like you don't know me. Really what I'm trying to say is that I started from the bottom, and now I'm here. Just like many of you. And to the students, you're gonna realize before this speech is over, I can go from 0 to 100 real quick. And I never needed an entertainer, a celebrity, or somebody famous to tell me that I had greatness in my DNA. Because we had a community. We have people like Shirley, Malcom. We have people like Roosevelt Johnson. We have people like my 80-year-old advisor, Dr. Carolyn Miles, who I went to go see today, telling us that we were great when the society was telling us that we wasn't. And the reason why we got to fight for things like ERN, the things we got to fight for the policies that have been cut, the reason why we got to keep fighting to make sure that things like this exist, so that when you come together, we can validate you and let you know there's nothing out there that can stop you from getting up here. You gotta believe that. Now, I know I've shocked some of you all already, so a couple of caveats I gotta give out. My beautiful wife, Tracy, happens to be a pharmacist, and she believes that I'm ADD, and I've never been treated before. So there's no way, Jonathan, I can stand at this podium and do the speech they thought I was gonna do. Like, hi, my name is Kelvin Mackie, and it's great to be here. Nah, this ain't that type of night. Matter of fact, Travis, when they invited me, I said, do they know who they asking to speak at a research conference? Caveat number 2, don't confuse my passion with anger. Don't confuse my passion with anger. Everywhere I go around the world, speaking about my life experiences, through the lenses in which I have seen, there's always somebody in the audience at the end talking about, that's an angry black man right there. And I said, I'm not angry, I'm passionate. And somehow people always confuse my passion with their sense of anger. So don't confuse my passion with anger. I remember I was at General Electric, and it was Jeff Immelt, L. Sharpton, and me. That's gangster. Can I say gangster at ERN? And I said, Mr. Immelt, he said, what? I said, tickle me, pinch me. He said, Dr. Mackie, what are you talking about? I said, man, dreams do come true. Who ever thought a little black boy from back of town, Girt Town, Zion City, from New Orleans, Louisiana, where we speaking to 1,500 of the top executives at one of the top companies in the United States of America. And young people today, I want you to know, still this is the greatest country in the world. Still this is the only place in the world where you can get up every day and work hard and make your dreams come true. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. As a matter of fact, Dr. Martin Luther King said at the end of the day, it's not the words of my enemies I shall remember, but the silence of my friends. And look like what's happening in this country. Look like what's happening in our communities. Look like what's happening in our schools. Look like somebody should be mad. Look like somebody should be angry. Look like somebody really should be taken to the street. But I'm not mad, I'm just happy to be here with other passionate people. Because what you have set out to do, with the road that you have embarked on, you can't do this white bread, raisins and potato salad, salt-free. You got to be on fire. You got to be passionate. Matter of fact, Don King, they said, what is success? Don King said, set yourself on fire and people will show up to watch you burn. And I often say many a times, many of our children, many of our students are not on fire because many of our researchers and our advisors have died on the vine. Have forgot why they're even doing this. Showing up, checking a box, and not speaking validation and hope into every young person that come before them. But you know what? James Baldwin said a passion is unfriendly. He said a passion is arrogant. James Baldwin said a passion is contemptuous of all which is not itself. Matter of fact, James Baldwin said a passion contains a challenge and it contains an unspeakable hope. So everywhere I go around this world, Karen, whenever I'm talking to somebody about education, I challenge them to be better. I challenge them to do more. I challenge them to do what it is that needs to be done. But I refuse to leave anyone with an unspeakable hope. I know some people that confuse this word called hope. I know a man ran for president like 12, 16 years ago and used the word hope, and everybody act like hope now is a four-letter word. Hope is not a four-letter word. Hope is the only thing that took us from where we were. Hope is the only thing that got us to where we are today, and hope is the only thing that's going to take us to where we need to go. This thing called hope is real. Matter of fact, I got a friend named Dr. Truth, and Dr. Truth said, Brother Mackie, when you lose money, you've lost a little. He said, when you lose a friend, you've lost a lot. He said, when you lose hope, you've lost it. And as I crisscross this country and look in the eyes of many of our children, look like they've lost it. But we got to be ready, prepared to go out and win the hearts and souls in our communities to bring back hope to every little boy and girl in America, to let them know what is possible in a country called America. That is hope. I got a grandma. My grandma used to say, baby, you can go anywhere in this world, just get up and keep walking. And now many of us can't even find our way out of our own neighborhood. This thing called hope is real. Matter of fact, Dr. Martin Luther King said, you can have finite disappointment, but you got to have infinite hope. So with everything happening in the present situation in the STEM ecosystem, in this environment right now, with bills cutting funding and cutting programs that otherwise produce people like me, yeah, I'm disappointed, but you better believe I am hopeful for every last one of you. Hope is real. Matter of fact, hope is the thing that caused the old lady to sit down and caused the nation to stand up. Hope is the thing that made George Washington Carver do with a peanut 100 years ago that Harvard PhDs still cannot do today. Hope is the thing that made a Tuskegee airman believe they could fly airplanes when their own government told them they couldn't. Hope is the thing that turned Detroit red into Malcolm X. Hope is the thing that turned crackheads into teachers and Willie pimps into preachers. Hope is the thing that took a black boy, a young preacher in Alabama, and made him believe that he can have a dream and change the world. And we got to remember that Dr. Martin Luther King wasn't assassinated because he had a dream. He was assassinated because he got up every day and tried to make his dream come true. And to this audience, I want you to know, when you take a stand and get up and try to make your dreams come true, there will be people working against you, and we see that now. Hope is the thing that took Jay-Z from big pimping to a billionaire, took Oprah from Mississippi to the top of entertainment. Hope is the thing that made Patrick Henry say, give me liberty or give me debt. Hope is the thing that made John F. Kennedy say, don't ask what your nation can do for you, but ask what you can do for your nation. Hope is the thing that even made my friend George W. Bush, when he was running for president the second time, entitled his stump speech, The Duty of Hope. Even Ronald Reagan, when he talked about the shining city on a hill, Ronald Reagan said America's the last best hope for man on earth. Now that's some hope for your behind. Hope is the thing that took a 47-year-old man and sent him to jail for 27 years in South Africa, and he came out a world leader. Hope is the thing that took a black boy with a white mama and a goat herding daddy and made him believe that he can be president. And a whole lot of people said, no, you can't. But America stood up and said, yes, you can. ERN. Hope is that little voice in your head that whispers maybe when the whole world is screaming no. And I don't know about you all. I don't know where you're from. I don't know your mama. I don't know your daddy. I don't know your background. I don't know what journey you took to get here. But I know where I'm from. I grew up in a house with no books. My father dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton. My mother went to a state-approved Negro high school. When I grew up out Travis, I thought my name was No. Can I go over there? No. Can I do this? No. Can I play over there? No. Can I go to the store? No. Can I come to your school? No. Can I go over there? No. You think I can be an engineer? Oh, no. You think I can be a doctor? Oh, hell no. And to the beautiful women in the room, Bridget, I used to remember. Lorraine, I remember all the time. To the beautiful women, I used to remember all the time when I used to ask them, may I have your phone number? You know what they used to tell me? No. See, really back in the day, they didn't want me, but now since I'm hot, that's all it takes, bro. To the ERN students, my point is this. I don't know who's telling you no. I don't know if your family telling you no. I don't know if your community telling you no. I don't know if your researcher telling you no, but we're here tonight because we are telling you yes. This is possible. If you're willing to get up every day, do the work, commit to the discipline that's necessary to get to the end of this road, everything is possible. So my message to you tonight is yes, regardless of who is telling you no. And when they called me, they said, we want you to talk about your journey. You see, young people, I used to be a professor at Tulane University. I was first and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the College of Engineering. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, Tulane, the president of Tulane University, made an unbelievable decision. Paul, the president of Tulane University, decided to keep the football team and eliminate the engineering program. So I lost a six-figure job overnight. Now, I'll never forget, my buddy was the football coach. And he called me, he said, Dr. Mackie, who'd ever thought I'd still be here as a football coach and you'll be gone as a tenured faculty member? I said, man, don't get it wrong. Maybe the young men in the neighborhood got it right. He said, maybe. I said, maybe I should have been doing wind sprints when I was studying calculus, because the message that the president of Tulane University sent to the children in the community, and the message that many universities send to our communities every day, is that you can come in this university and run that rock, dunk that ball, hit that pill, stop, drop it like it's hot, and entertain us. But don't you think about coming to this university and getting a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics or medicine degree and saving yourself and your community from the next natural disaster. I used to go to work every day at Tulane. In my lifetime, I've never had a black coworker. I used to go to my work at Tulane every day listening to Tupac, Me Against the World. Now I leave every day listening to Biggie, Who Shot You? Because it was a battle. And it was a battle worth having, because I knew if I would have died or I would have opted out, then there will never be a place for other people like me to follow. That's why I honor the people that have been fighting this battle for 30, 40, 50 years, such that we can sit here tonight. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, my family lost 29 houses. And I left school that day after losing my job because 8 people had moved into my house. And I went home, and when I got to my house, there had people outside in the tree cutting my palm trees. And I said, look here, Jose, you might want to get out of that tree. And I opened my front door, and my 2 sons was playing with their Thomas train. And they looked at me and they said, Daddy! And they ran to me, and I kissed them on the head. Love you, sons. My wife, Tracy, was in the kitchen cooking for the 8 people in the house. And she had the etouffee on, she had the catfish on, she had the red beans on, and she was making her world-famous potato salad. See this food here, I ain't gonna talk about it. But see her potato salad is so smooth, sometimes I just put it on my face. Whoa, that's some good potato salad. I kissed her, and she had the stove on, the heat on, had the vent on. My little cousin was in the corner with the TV on, the iPad on, the headphones on. I saw the window open. Dr. Malcom, I just saw money going out the window. My big brother had moved in with me. After Hurricane Katrina, he had lost his job in his house. He upstairs by himself with the TV on, the radio on, the air conditioner on. I'm like, look, can everybody just come downstairs and get in one room? My uncle had moved in with me. Had just retired from Folgers Coffee. He lost his 2 houses. He's sitting there watching CNN, the same news every 30 minutes on a 6-inch television. I'm like, oh, can you please turn that TV off and maybe just go for a walk? My dad had moved in with me. See, the week before Hurricane Katrina, my daddy was diagnosed with level 2 lung cancer. He was supposed to start his treatment the day of Hurricane Katrina. But we had to evacuate. He had 6 children, he and his wife in one way. We went all over the country. It took us 6 weeks to find each other and finally find him. We tried to find a place to get him re-diagnosed, but we couldn't find a place to get him re-diagnosed because water had destroyed all of the records. In an urban major city in America, they had taken a Lords and Taylor and converted it into a makeshift hospital. Took us 2 more weeks to find a place to get him diagnosed. By the time we got him diagnosed, the cancer had spread to all over his body. This big old strong man who dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton, who started a roofing business in the aftermath of Hurricane Betsy in 1965, who put a ladder on a car and eventually created a roofing business that employed 100 people. In the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster, Hurricane Katrina, he lost his business, he lost his house, and eventually he lost his. He's sitting in my den, he on hospice, he on oxygen, and he waving. And I started to think, and I thought about Willie, the lesson that my mama taught me. My mama said, baby, a job may be your resource, but God is your source. And my daddy taught me that a man's supposed to get up every day and go out and hunt and kill, or he shall not eat. And I went in my bedroom, fell on my knees, I prayed, and when I got up, since I had 4 STEM degrees, a BS in mathematics from Morehouse, and a BS, MS, and PhD from Georgia Tech, 4 STEM degrees in 11 years, after starting college, after being told that I wasn't college material, I had 4 degrees, but I had skills such that I was able to go out and create an alternative energy company where we take waste streams and convert to biofuels so we could sell it into the oil bloodstream. When you got skills to pay the bills, transferable skills, you don't have to worry about whether or not somebody's going to give you a job because you can create one. See, we need you all to go get skills because when you have skills, you put yourself in a position where you never have to depend on another man, another woman, another government to do for you what you can do for your. That's education. And that's what every kid in America deserves. And people want to pick and choose and decide who education is for, who should have access to education. And if you just happen to be born on that side of town, you guess what? You all good. But you're on the wrong side of town, we ain't got nothing for you. And being who I am and being in the rooms I've been in, we might need to bring DEI back because this anti-DEI ain't looking too good. Being in the rooms I'm in, I'm like, this is merit. And you're going to figure that out one day. Sometimes when people say you're not prepared, it's a defense mechanism because they don't want you to get in the room to see so you can see how unprepared they were. And you got to ask, how the hell you get in here? This thing is real. I lost tenure. My buddy, Greg Washington, who's the president of George Mason. I never forget, he said, look, Mackie, he said, the only way you lose tenure is by an act of God. I said, well, Greg, God decided to act. And I had to pivot. And my message to you all is that you can go get all the degrees you want. You think you can be as brilliant as you are, and you can be as rich as you are, privileged as you are, and I want you to know that life will show up and knock you down, and you better be prepared to get back up. In closing, I gotta go. Yesterday I spoke at the HBCU Climate Change Conference. Here today, I gotta go. This airport better be right. And I never forget when the storm happened. After the storm, I was doing a lot of flying. And my wife said, look, Calvin, I need you to stop flying. I said, look, I gotta go. She said, these boys are 8, 9 years old, but I gotta go. She said, look, we gotta talk, 'cause you need to be able to raise these boys. I said, look here. I said, you like to eat? She said, yeah, I like to eat. I said, well, I gotta go, because if I ain't talking, my mouth ain't moving, you ain't eating. She said, look, I need you here with me to raise these boys. I said, look, I understand my boys need their dad. She said, yeah, they're at that age now, but they need their dad. I said, I'll tell you what, if the plane don't come back and I don't make it, tell my boys, one, that I was a man, and I got up every day and tried to answer those 2 existential questions of who am I and why am I here? She said, Kelvin, stop talking like that. I said, look, woman. I said, if the plane go down, there's only one word I want on my tombstone. She said, don't talk like that, Kelvin. I said, look, I need you to know this. If the plane go down and I don't make it back, because these are trying times. People was taking planes, hijacking planes. I said, one, if CNN come tell him he was fighting, because that's who I am. But if the plane go down, there's only one word I want on my tombstone. And she said, what, fool? Lorraine, I looked at her and I told her, empty, because I want the world to know I gave it my, that's all we asking of you all. Give it your all. Give it your all. Thank you.
I already see this is going to be fun. You've had quite a journey. You thought you were going in one direction, and then life pulled the rug out from under you. What is it that we need to say? And I say we because I've been in that same kind of a situation. That we need to say to the young people here for them to understand the incredible skills you gained, but then had to apply in a totally different way.
You know, my book is called A View from the Roof. My daddy was a roofer. And I talk about my mom and dad so much because, you know, we have so many people with so much education and now, and they can't get their kids from point A to point B. But mom and dad raised 6 that they raised and sent to college. One of them is even Captain America. And what they gave us was work ethic, discipline, and faith. I look at many of my colleagues now, and when this stuff started happening last year, many of them now are provosts, presidents, deans. And the way a lot of them withered and ran and hid, I realized, Dr. Malcom, they had never been in a fight. They have never taken a punch, and they never had to throw a punch. Somewhere in the training of these students, we have to make sure that there's rigor and that we challenge them, because we have to let you all know that we are preparing you for a world that don't give a damn about you. And we want you to succeed when you get in that world. And anything less than that would be educational malpractice, because we're setting you up for failure. In the hood, they're always talking about, man, we at war. What bothers me about the hood, I don't see nobody training. I don't see nobody jogging, push-ups. I don't see nobody doing shooting practice. Well, we going to war, we need to be doing some shooting practice. And the message I tried to bring you all tonight is my life journey to let you know that we are at war. And if this last year didn't convince you that you are at war, not only for no job or career, but basically for your life, there's really not too much we can tell you. That's a hostile world out there. And to the students here, you saw the video, and they talked about my son. My son that said he didn't like science anymore. We started STEM NOLA. We've engaged over 250,000 young people. I'm giving them the lessons I gave my own 2 sons. My son just finished Howard in mechanical engineering, and he's at University of Michigan and PhD in robotics and AI. My youngest son, who used to be in a garage, is a junior at Yale in economics and data science. And they said, Calvin, that makes sense to your children. I said, well, the little boy next door is a senior at Alabama in chemical engineering. And my point is this: I'm not telling you anything differently than that which I tell and haven't told my own 2 sons. I know I want them to succeed, and that's my commitment to you.
But you know, one of the things that we seldom talk about is our response to failure. I had Willie, see somewhere here, cracking up when I told him of my freshman year in chemistry lab that I got a 9 out of 20 on my first quiz. And then I took my second quiz and I got a 7 out of 20. And he said, you were going in the wrong direction. I said, yeah, I figured that out. I went and got some help. And together we were able to turn it around. Third quiz, I got an 18 out of 20. And the TA, only black TA in the chemistry department, he was happier than I was. It's okay to fail. It's not okay to keep failing. So you obviously, I mean, you didn't fail, the world failed you. I mean, but the issue of kind of coming back from whatever the circumstances are, what kinds of preparation or skills did you gain in your studies that really helped you mount that challenge?
Resiliency. I mean, I told a story about starting college in remedial reading, developmental math, and being told I wasn't college material. To Carleitta, the HBCU, when I got to Morals, they spoke hope into me. Where we mess up in STEM and where we're screwing up in STEM still to this day is that we think STEM is about a way of doing, and we're missing the fact that it's a way of being. I got to be so I can do. And what happened in the past is that people dealt with our being and built us up so that we can do. So now all of the focus now is on whether or not you can do. And if you can't do, then we don't want you here. If your test score ain't what it is, if you didn't go to the right school, then you can't do, so I don't want you here. So we're missing the genius in our communities. What we've done with STEM NOLA is that we've created the AAU of STEM, such that in any community a kid can plug in. If I've been doing engineering all my life since first grade, how you gonna tell me when I get to college I can't do engineering? Especially because of some tests. So it's that intestinal fortitude that we're trying to build up in kids, the trial and error, the hands-on, such that when you build that car and it doesn't work, it didn't work because you ain't do something right. The problem with school is that you built the car, it didn't work, so you get an F. In the community is you built the car, it didn't work, now go get it right. As a matter of fact, you're not gonna leave here until the car runs. That's the problem with education in terms of trying to teach STEM. You can't teach STEM on a timeline because it may take me 10 times to get the car right, not one test. So the failure, right? I never forget, I talked about Dr. Carolyn Myers and we was laughing today when I failed my qualifiers. And I'll never forget the professor, I'm not gonna call his name, but I went to talk to him. He kept saying, you know, we thought you could have done better. I said, but did I fail? And he died recently, and to the day he died, every time I see him, 30 years later, I said, did I fail that qualifier? But I remember curled up in a fetal position in Dr. Myers' office crying like a baby because I thought my dreams was over. And she picked me up and said, Calvin, that test does not define you. You just got to study 6 more months. I said, well, that's what I'm crying about.
You know, it's interesting. You keep bringing up names of people that I know well and have known for ages. What you seem to be saying here is you got to have your community. Obviously, there's family, obviously. But also, you know a lot of people. You know, you were teasing me that you had learned this concept of social capital. Somebody told you the concept, but then you figured out what it was and used it. So the question I think that the students might have of, what are your friends? What does one's friends and colleagues, what does one's friends,
You know,
whatever it is.
I got it.
What do your friends give you?
If I would have had, you know, one of my buddies supposed to be a night named Lou, and Lou is from Warrenton, Georgia, and my other buddy, Jimmy Davis. We were roommates all the way from the beginning at Morals. 3 black males between us, we got 13 STEM degrees. 13 STEM degrees. Jimmy was from Liberty City in Miami. Lou from Warrenton, I'm from New Orleans. We started in developmental math and all that, and we got 13 STEM degrees. If I had more time tonight, I'd talk to you all about 3 things: skill set, mindset, skill set, asset, mindset. You gotta have skills to pay the bills. The man or woman who doesn't have skills, ask people how much they pay. The man or woman who does have skills, tell people how much they charge. We need y'all to get skills to pay the bills. The next thing is assets. Assets you think is money, but it's not assets, it's the people in your life. If you want to understand how you got here today, look at the 5 people you hung out with 5 years ago. And if you want to know where you're going to end up 5 years from now, look at the 5 people you're hanging with right now. It is the people in your life that really determines the trajectory, a lot of times, of whether you go up or whether you go down. Those two guys, and the fact that we stuck together, really Rockford and I, all of us was in grad school. Jonathan Lambright, all of us was in grad school. And it was the community at Georgia Tech that we built that brought us through what we called the killing fields at the time. So you got to make sure that you surround yourself with the right people that's going to speak. That's why I talked about hope. That's going to speak hope in you during the darkest times. Because things they're going to get dark. And you got to have people speaking that hope in the midst of darkness and a darkness to you. And that's why these type of convenings are so important. Because it was at these type of convenings that I met those people that I mentioned.
That's the point. That's exactly the point. You're building, you're building your army, your team.
These are the same people you're going to see for the rest of your life, believe it or not. You may bump into somebody 30 years later and say, remember we were in Atlanta at ERN and this happened with your email, or you just 20 years from now you email somebody because they're reviewing a grant and you say, remember me, I got a grant coming through. That happens a lot. If they don't remember, I make them remember.
Yeah, and they hook you up with.
They hook me up with a good
They hook you up
evaluation.
with new contacts. They hook you up with grant opportunities.
That's
they hook
right.
you up with a lot of things. So, what kind of advice would you give the young people who are here about being prepared to pivot?
My dad used to bring friends home, and my dad used to tell my friends, I'm a double D CIELLD. And my friends like, what is he saying, Mac? I said, bro, that's the highest. And they'll come back and he said, I bet you with all y'all degrees, y'all can't pronounce this. I'm a double D CIELLD. You know, my friends like, what is your crazy daddy talking about? I said, man, that is the highest. And one day my daddy asked him, he said, the man who gave out the first PhD, what did he have? See, my dad didn't have the opportunity to go to formal education. And he got to a point in his life where he realized he had wisdom. And just like that man had to give it a name, he gave it a name. Double D, CIELLD. And I got a PhD in engineering now, and I'm still aspiring to get that degree. And my point is that you can't wait around for people to validate your wisdom and knowledge and let you know it's okay to be what it is that you need and have to be to succeed in a place called America. So therefore, the man or woman who controls the diameter of your learning controls the circumference of your actions. So if you're waiting for these institutions and certain people to give you enough knowledge to achieve your dreams, keep waiting. They can give you a base, but you have to have the inspiration and motivation to keep learning, to go further than they ever thought then you can go. I remember, I've raised probably 30, 40 million in the last 10, 11 years from STEM NOLA. I've never had a development director. I've never had an NSF grant. And I never forget talking to a major philanthropy, and they said, well, who has evaluated and validated this model? And I looked the lady in the eyes and I said, what is it about me that you and your organization don't believe that somebody like me can create something original? And the next day she called, she said, you stirred something in my soul. I could not sleep. And I got the $1.5 million grant. I'm the only person in this country that's ever won 2 NSF White House Presidential Mentoring Awards, 2003 from George Bush, 2024 from Biden for the organization. And I've never got an NSF award for the work that we've done because the people who are evaluating it don't have a clue about what's happening in the community where I'm working. So if I'm waiting for them to validate my work, we would have missed 250,000 kids being exposed. So you can't wait for people to let you know you're smart or let you know that you can do something. You got to get up every day and believe in yourself and go get it done. And eventually, they'll come around. And if not, guess what? You gone.
One of the things that when I was reading about your background and I read about the closing of the department, one of the things that I found that was really fascinating was the service to the state that you basically were called upon to do. In the first case, around the recovery around Katrina, and we just lost one of our giants a few months ago, Norman Francis. One of the best college presidents who's ever lived in terms of what he did for Xavier and what he did for the entirety of the community. So you, on the one hand, you were involved in the Katrina recovery. Then you turn back around, you got called on again to deal with the aftermath of Deepwater Horizon and all of the spill that came from that. How did that feel, kind of like moving from an education space into a policy space and trying to pull your hometown back together?
Well, Dr. Malcolm, no man should have as much disaster experience that I have, first and foremost. I was a professor at Tulane University. I never forget I got the call. The governor of the state called. My wife answered the phone. They said, this is the governor's office. And my wife like, this is the governor. I'm like, there ain't no governor calling me. She said, this is the governor. And I answered the phone. The governor said, this is Governor Blanco. And I ran in the bathroom. My wife banging on the door, let me in, let me in, let me in. And they asked me to be on the Louisiana Recovery Authority, the 33-member board that they put in place, modeled after the advisory board after 9/11. And this was the 33-member board that had to advocate, but also manage the billions of dollars that was coming down from the federal government. Now, granted, all my life I was a lab researcher. I was a professor at Tulane. The only thing I wanted to do was do my research. I wanted to, have some grad students, go shoot dice, nobody know my name, and I'm good. And I got plucked out of the lab into one of the biggest stages in the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster in the history of this country. And I was out of water. I had to get up every day and meet with politicians, visit the White House. And it was, I said I'm gonna write a book called Education of Calvin Mackie because it was like steroids, learning on steroids. And all night I was sitting up, I was talking to people like, so what does this mean? And they taught me about political strategy, advocacy, and things like that. So to the students in the room, you all are being trained with skills that can be transferred to different areas. You just got to take that skill and see where it apply over here. As a matter of fact, we are better trained than the people over there because we already know how to solve problems. They got to spend all this time there advocating and they don't even know how to get the problem solved, but we have the solution. We have to learn how to advocate and then navigate the political system to get to where we need to be, to get the resources, to do what it is that we need to do. So after the Katrina, then the next governor put me on the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority. After the oil spill, and believe me, that was two different experiences because now we're dealing with BP, we're dealing with the big boys, we're dealing with, it was an unbelievable experience. But to all of my students here, and I tell my sons, you cannot live in a vacuum. This is a political world. And many of my friends who otherwise in these big positions now, who thought science wasn't political, got punched in the mouth and didn't know how to respond to a political problem rather than an academic problem.
Well, I get it. I certainly get it. Because I got a call one day asking me if I would serve on the Commission on Federal Election Reform.
God bless you.
God bless me. Okay, now we're going to give the students an opportunity to ask you the questions themselves. There are microphones somewhere out here among you, and just go and line up, and we will be able to entertain some questions from the students. Okay, there is somebody already at a mic?
Yes, you can't see him because of the light.
Okay.
Come up to this one so we can see you.
Good evening, Dr. Mackie.
Good
First
evening.
and foremost, thank you for the talk and motivation. Like, you just lit a fire inside of me. And
Thank
being
you.
from the South, I relate to a lot of your experiences. So thank you for that. I guess my question, well, really not a question. Well, it is a question. How do you maintain, like, you say don't confuse your passion with anger, right? As a person who gets very excited and I'm very, I guess, extreme about my beliefs and everything, how do you maintain it in environments when it's a bigger stake, like it's bigger than yourself? Any advice for that?
Uh, what's your name?
Jakira Luckett. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was so happy to just come up here and speak. I'm sorry. My name is Jakira Luckett, and I'm from Jackson State University.
You're
I'm a
from
current.
Jackson State.
Yeah.
I was with some people from Jackson State yesterday, and I told them my mom used to be the president. Dr. Carolyn Myers used to be the president
I was
of
staring
Jackson
at
State.
her. Look
So,
at that.
so, when you come, this is a very diverse audience. So I never forget being in a lab, and I had a Korean and a Chinese, and I had the world in the lab. And I had some very strong convictions. And I pride myself on being authentic, but I also pride myself on respecting other people and their authenticity too. And everybody's on a learning journey. And you have to allow those people to be on their learning journey while you're on theirs. And don't get in their space and don't allow them to cross your space. There's something called Tribe. The guy, Seth Godin, got a book, Tribe, Tribe. And I believe, I tell my sons, go read Tribe, because you're going to realize what you have to do is find your tribe, especially when you're in grad school on a campus. Willie and Jonathan, we were a tribe, all right? And we came together, and we were like-minded, and we were like faith, and we wanted the same things. And by coming together and standing together, the fact that other people didn't have the convictions we had, that insulated us from that. You can't be alone standing in the middle of the ocean and don't think you're going to get eaten by the sharks.
Okay.
You got to find your tribe.
Thank you. Oh, one more question.
No.
Can I get a picture after?
Come on,
I
hurry
just
up,
want a
man.
picture after this. That's all. Can I get a picture after this?
Yeah, we good. I ain't going nowhere.
Thank you.
Can you hand the mic down? Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. This was such a marvelous talk. My name is Clifford Dernize. I'm a PhD candidate from Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold! Come on. Oh, wow, okay. I'm gonna tell on you guys, all right? When I go back home, all right? Anyway, my question for you is, I guess out of all of the many famous and accomplished people that you've met, who would you consider the person you have the highest regard for? And why?
No, you're not. Thank you, Clifford. Dr. Carolyn Myers was the president of Norfolk State, too.
All the green and gold. Come on, guys.
Check this out. What my daddy gave me, I haven't met anybody famous, rich, or educated that have imparted an inkling of the wisdom to me that he gave to me. I believe that families and communities are where we have to build the foundation for our children such that they can deal with the world thereafter. Shirley, Malcom, Carolyn Myers, Roosevelt Johnson, and Dr. Norman Johnson, I can name people. Norman Francis, I used to ride with for the LRA meeting. He imparted with me so much. But the wisdom that my dad and my grandma, I got two books, A View from the Roof, Lessons for Life and Business, where my dad, the lessons that I got from my dad. And I got another book called Grandma's Hands. It's the wisdom that I got from my mother and my grandmothers. What we're missing now is that father wisdom and that mother wit, such that we got the intestinal fortitude to take on the things that these people took on 50, 60 years ago. And I'm gonna go along with this little answer because when we built STEM NOLA, we keep talking about community. We believe a community is child-centered, adult-governed, elder rule. So we focus on children in the family. We surround the children in the families with college students. We call them the adults in our community. Then we surround them with the STEM professionals. Those are the elders. So when people tell me that they have a mentor, I say, ask your mentor who's their mentor. Because we keep talking about mentoring boys and girls to men and women, but we never talk about mentoring men and women into elders.
And that's my question.
And that's what we got to get to. I had many elders in my life that gave me the foundation to exist and to succeed. regardless of the environment.
Thank you.
Didn't I tell you my dad was a double DCIE LLD? You don't get more famous than that.
Okay, we have a question over here, and then we'll come.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Timaya. I'm from Arizona State, and I just had a question for you guys. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of Black intelligence and Black talent migrate to other countries that recognize their talent and skills. And so what advice do you have for those students and those people who are gaining those skills and gaining those experiences from other parts of the world and bringing it back to their community and where they're from?
Thomas Friedman wrote a book years ago called The World is Flat. And I never forget reading that book and realizing what he meant. I'm a firm believer, go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it. I created an alternative energy company in New Orleans and they wouldn't support it, I couldn't get funding. We took it to California and they just couldn't understand what we was doing, or we couldn't articulate to the venture capitalists what we were doing. But now we're in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, in Tanga, and we are taking cashew shells and making biochar for carbon sequestration. We're taking cashew oils and making resin and other chemicals. The world is flat and small. Get you a passport. Find your tribe and go where people are going to support you. This is not the world that our parents grew up in, that we gotta be validated at home. The same thing in New Orleans. I mean, I say I've raised 30 to 40 million. I'm building a 30,000 square foot, $20 million STEM center in New Orleans. And the people in New Orleans say, well, you never asked us for nothing. And I never asked them for nothing because I knew if I asked them, then they would give me the money and want to control me. So I had to go find people that otherwise believed in my vision and would have invested and let me build what I know our children need, rather than people that would give me the money and then control me and build something that otherwise I know would fail. So go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it. And that doesn't necessarily mean America.
Yes. Amen for that. I got a sign that I have we have 2 minutes. So let's do
We're gonna
something.
do rapid fire.
Wait, let's do something. No, let's do something unusual. In the 2 minutes, we'll take all the questions.
Yep.
We won't answer them. He can make a closing remark.
There she go. That's wisdom.
You like that?
I like that.
Okay. All right. So don't go around on your questions. Go on. Hit it.
Good evening. My name is Trinity Stark. I am from the Jackson State University. And my question for you, I TA for 5 classes, 4 of which are physics and 1 is chemistry. And how do you, when you get the students that late in college, right? How can you go back and teach them fundamentals or inspire them to want to pursue careers in STEM if it's technically, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's too late, but some of the qualities of some of the children, they just don't, they're not intrigued or they lack the information.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's hard. So how am I, being a TA, pursuing a master's in chemistry, how am I gonna persuade them to wanna do the same and show them that they're
I got your
able to do
question.
that?
Let's
Okay.
go.
All right.
Next, I'm
Next
gonna get
question.
you. And look, I'm gonna be here after this too, if I miss it, but I got you.
Talk to you.
Hello, my name is Rosa Kwan. I'm from Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio. I was wondering how, if you see potential in people, including like others around you and also yourself, how do you, and if they're kind of unmotivated, and if they don't see that potential themselves and they want to stay in the status quo, even though you want to push them further, how do you kind of ignite that spark in them? And it's like, that's gonna take conversations and a lot of time together, but at the same time, how do you make those conversations effective? And how do you kind of, just like, kind of have them see their own potential in a sense?
Okay,
Got it.
next question.
Hello, my name is Devin Lewis, and I'm a sophomore at Stony Brook University. And my question is, since you're a very self-motivated person, but how do you push through burnout?
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Isaiah Harris. I'm a sophomore at Tuskegee University student. My question is how do you find the right tribe? You said how it's important to find the 4 to 5 people that indicate where you go in life. So how do you find that?
Greetings, my name is Calpani Powell. I'm a student at the illustrious Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. October 3rd, 1887. Hey, yes,
Man,
sir.
ask your question.
Okay, and
Time
my
for that
question.
FAMU stuff.
Hey man, shut up, FAMU. Okay, so my question was, what is the most valuable skill you have learned during your lifetime?
Okay.
I'm Cam, PhD candidate in Tulane, New Orleans. A question I have is community integration, especially in New Orleans, thinking about equity. How do you find the right stakeholders that helps you to have an idea and build it to go above for a community?
And what you studying at Tulane?
Biomedical informatics, so healthcare and
Got it?
informatics.
All right.
Thank you.
To the young lady.
How you doing, Dr. Mackie?
Oh, somebody else there?
I'm on your right side.
Oh, all right, bro.
My name is Justin Achampa. I come from North Carolina, located in Greensboro. My question for you is, how do you define discipline, and how do you translate it in your personal life and your professional life?
Got it. And this is the last one.
Hello, my name is Jalen Johnson. I'm from North Carolina Central University. And my question is, how does success compare to you now than in your early career after all the roadblocks you went through? Thank you.
Quickly, to the young lady tutoring the kids, the man or woman who finds himself in a race of life, the man or woman who finds himself behind in a race of life got two choices: run faster or quit. Your goal is not to get anybody anywhere. Your goal is to help them understand that it is their responsibility to get there. If they're not willing to do the work, when I got to Morris, I was already behind. And they showed me I was behind, but they also gave me a pathway of what I needed to do to catch up. And that's where we have to be. To the young man, talking about what is success. Success, a lot of times in our eyes, is money. The greatest thing in the world right now, I realize that success is a happy home and a peaceful life, and getting up every day and doing the things that I want to do every day. To the young man who talked about how do you find your tribe. We have a saying that says if you ain't at the table, you're on the menu. You have to put yourself in places. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You have to meet people and understand that, everybody's not in your tribe. I collect people. So when I find people that otherwise have a value that I believe in, that I respect, I collect those people, keep them close to me, and learn from them. So that's why my friends are eclectic, because I get different things from different people. To the young lady that's talking about people are unmotivated and not motivated, you can't motivate anybody. I mean, you can give them motivation, but like underwear, motivation is like underwear. You should get up and change it every day. So they got to be inspired every day. You got to have something called relationship and communication. In real estate, to be successful is location, location, location. To be successful in a relationship is communication, communication, communication. When communication fails, abnormality sets in a relationship. So you can't inspire nobody, even educate somebody or motivate somebody if you don't have the proper relationship based on the proper communication with them. Which one I missed? Discipline. Amen. I believe everything in your life should be intentional and consistent. Discipline is getting up and doing what you have to do when you have to do it. That is discipline. Even when you don't want to do it, it has to be done. I will never forget, I hated to study during the day, and I used to study at night. 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. was my time. And I would act a fool until it was 10 a.m. Everybody had to get out of my room. But 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. was my time. And I disciplined myself. That was my time. So when you're talking about finding your tribe, you got to know yourself. You got to focus on that and discipline yourself. But it's being intentional and being consistent in everything that you want and that you need to do. There's a lot of distractions now. So what you need more than anything right now is discipline. But that's not discipline based on anybody else. That's discipline based on what works for you. And there was one more. Oh, burnout. I got to be honest with you, young man. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Have you ever been hungry before? Have you ever been without before? Have you ever had lack before? I grew up poor, and the last thing I want to be, so I get up every day and work my behind off. But to be honest with him, you know, a lot of people dealing with that. Even my son, he said, Dad, I need some time off. I said, boy, what you talking about? I said, but maybe I had something, not only in intestinal fortitude, but I had a tribe and I had activities that took me away from this stuff. If you follow me on social media, I go fishing all the time. Matter of fact, my wife on Friday, no more fish until I lose weight. So I ride around the city giving away my fish now. You know what I mean? But I'm going fishing. And I realized that's my way of coping. You got to find something that take you away from the thing that you are dealing with all the time. Y'all think I'm clowning, but I was at one point in time the best dice shooting professor in this country. People are, that's my thing. I grew up shooting dice. That's why I know mathematics, right? And I know in such a prestige environment like this, I ain't supposed to talk, but that's who I am. I don't shoot dice no more because they recognize me in the casino. That's the only reason I don't go in. But the bottom line is that you have to find that which take you away, whether it's golf or whether it's walking or whether it's remote control cars. You have to find what make you you, such that when you come back, you're refreshed to do the things that put before you. Thank you all. I appreciate you all, and the best to every last one of y'all. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you and all that you've done.
Thank you.
And when I grow up, I want to be an elder.
Thank you, Calvin and Shirley. That was a phenomenal closing plenary for us. We're so grateful, not only for all the work you do, but for really being an elder for us and holding up the community. All right, we have reached a pivot point in the ceremony. So what is going to happen is in just a second, you're going to see a slide with our closing, our post-conference evaluation. There will be a QR code. You can also access this via the Whova app. And while you all, so there's a couple of things about this. Your input in this post-conference evaluation is super important for two reasons. One, the workshops and the sessions that there were 8 new workshops that we planned for this year's EARN that came directly from your feedback, people's feedback from EARN last year. Every year we take that feedback and that is what we use to shape the next year's conference. So we really want your feedback about emerging areas of growth, of discipline, of science, of professional development that's going to set you all up for success. So please give us that. Secondly, throughout all of EARN, while we do all of this really important work around investing in your research careers, we also conduct research through EARN to really understand how we build research capacity amongst early career scientists like yourselves, how we invest in STEM aspirations and STEM identity. And so your feedback on surveys, on post-evaluation pieces, when you attend a webinar and then respond to us, we use that data to understand how we do this so that we can contribute original knowledge back to the field and increase all institutions' ability to better serve their students. So please take the time to give us this really important feedback. We're gonna strike the set, we're gonna have our judges come up, and we're gonna get ready in just a few moments. You have about 10 minutes for this survey, and then we will have the awards. So again, to our plenary, thank you so much, Calvin. That was truly incredible. We're so happy to have you